Aaron Rodgers isn't coming to Pittsburgh. Shocker. Jerry Dulac dropped that one too, saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers have no interest in the 42-year-old quarterback. I think he might be 42, maybe 43-year-old quarterback with the New York Jets, and that they'll go in a different direction. Now, who that will be, who knows? Right now, we're thinking it's Justin Fields. That could change in the drop of a dime any second here with the Jets hiring Arthur Smith or the Pittsburgh Steelers saying Russ is the guy. Who knows? Skylar Thompson might be the dude for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have no idea. It's not Aaron Rodgers, so let's talk about who it is. I think it's important. I think it's time we finally dive into where the Pittsburgh Steelers could stand in the quarterback market this offseason. I have the list here. We're just going to go through them. We're going to go through them up to, we'll stop at Mason Rudolph. That seems like a name that we should stop at.
That feels like a good place to stop, yeah.
That seems like a good one that we could stop at. We'll start at the top here. We'll ignore Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. We've talked about them many times. We'll go with the outside candidates here, with which, as surprising as it is, and this is bad, man. Spotrax got them ranked, has all the quarterbacks ranked, I believe. And Russell Wilson is below Kyle Allen, which is big yikes. Big yikes. We'll stop at Mason Rudolph. We'll go through them here. We'll start with Sam Darnold.
They're ranked by the money they made last year.
Lowest to highest? Highest to lowest.
Kyle Allen made more money than Russell Wilson this past season.
Gotcha. Well, he didn't, but he did. He did with the Steelers, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's $40 million. It may have been under the table, but it still came.
It
showed up in that big
paid Kyle Allen more than the Steelers paid Russell Wilson this year. Sorry, I'll fix it.
That's very true. But I'm Russ woke up one day. I don't know what that day was, and there was $37 million in his bank account, all in one shot. And he went, yeah, all right, sounds good, Doug. Sounds good to me. Probably didn't even notice. That's disgusting, but we're pro player on the show always. Start at the top here. Sam Darnold, I think, is an option. I don't know how good of an option it is. We won't dive too deep into all these because that'll take years. We'll just give a little yay or nay and a little explanation. I'm going nay on Sam Darnold, simply because I look at Sam Darnold as a guy that I think he's going to be a starting quarterback week 1 next season. I don't know for who, but I don't think he fits what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for. Mike Tomlin's talked about quarterback mobility for years, since Ben had a limp at 34 years old. And it just seems like they'd be locked into a guy that doesn't have quarterback mobility and, is really good. Showed that he can do this. But there are obvious questions at the end there about can he do this, how far he can do this into the playoffs, and if it's Kevin O'Connell or if it's Sam Darnold. I'm going nay on Sam Darnold.
Yeah, when I look at him and say, all right, this is a guy that proved that he deserves the opportunity to be a bridge quarterback at the very least for a team. But he did that with Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and an extremely, extremely talented defense in Minnesota. Now, are there some of those pieces in Pittsburgh? Yes, I think the defense, when they get it together, could be very, very good. But do I really trust what's in place offensively, structure-wise, to say that, hey, Sam Darnold's going to be able to come in here and get the same job done the same way he did in Minnesota? No. So I would say nay as well.
Yeah, I just don't. You know what I mean? You're leaving Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson for Calvin Austin, Pat Freiermuth. Just feels a little bit different in Pittsburgh. Number 2 on this list, Zach Wilson, my friend. I had the same response. It's not as big of a nay as Sam Darnold, I'm going to say. It's really not. Young competition maybe for Justin Fields. Not the best competition. Obviously, this quarterback class stinks, but Zach Wilson's 25 years old, and he was the second pick in the draft, and people in Denver liked him. And maybe, just maybe, the Pittsburgh Steelers say, Sam Darnold didn't work in New York, but he worked somewhere else. Zach Wilson didn't work in New York when nobody could work in New York. Maybe he'll work somewhere else. Zach Wilson's a sleeper in my eyes for the Pittsburgh Steelers as competition, not as pole position starter as competition.
Yeah, 100%. Now, here's the thing with Zach Wilson. If he ends up being your quarterback at any extended point, you don't have to worry about being in the same position next year. You might actually be able to get your quarterback of the future because Zach Wilson's starting for you and you're finally going to go 4-12. So I don't hate it. I don't hate giving a young kid a chance to be a backup, but there's another name on this list that I'd rather give that chance to than a Zach Wilson.
Is that name Trey Lance?
It is not Trey Lance. It is not Trey Lance. That name to me is Drew Lock.
Okay. Explain yourself.
For some reason, it just feels like there's a little bit more meat on that bone than a lot of people are seeing. But at the same time, he went through Denver. He went through Seattle. Now he's gone through New York. Yeah. He shows flashes, but I don't know if he could ever consistently be the guy for a team. But again, if we're talking about a backup that might have to spot start, I think you could do a lot worse than Drew Lock. I mean, he's a guy that has proved it at least a couple times in this league. And I think that when you're looking at kind of everybody that's around him, I'd rather go Drew Lock than a guy like Zach Wilson, to be completely honest.
Okay. I like Drew Lock. I do like Drew Lock. I mean, Drew Lock's 28. You can still get some years out of him. I don't hate that idea. I don't know how high I am on that idea, but I don't hate that idea. I think there are other names. Trey Lance is the next one on this list. I don't think look at Trey Lance is 24 years old. He'll be 27 just by the start of the season. He was the second pick in the draft, and the 49ers traded the house to go get him. So clearly he had potential. The problem is he showed none of that potential ever. I mean, maybe you get him just to see, but he seems like he's never taken a step forward ever in his very short career. And I feel like Trey Lance kind of strikes me as a guy where you take a shot on a Drew Lock, you go get a Marcus Mariota, you sign Zach Wilson well before you go get Trey Lance. Look at these results. People are making free money betting on sports, making thousands every month. The secret? They're using OddsJam. OddsJam isn't just another betting app. It's turning the entire system in your favor. OddsJam uses a strategy called arbitrage, finding odds differences across sportsbooks. Bet both sides, and no matter the outcome, you will profit. Here's an example. You put $500 on Boise State to win on FanDuel and $335 on their opponent San Francisco on DraftKings. You're guaranteed to make $50 win or lose. With the OddsJam mobile app, you get real-time alerts on these opportunities every day. People are making thousands monthly. To get you started, use our code ALLSteelersTalk for 35% off and a 7-day free trial. I guarantee you'll profit during that trial, and if you don't, cancel with one click, no questions asked. Don't leave money on the table. Go to oddsjam.com, use our code ALLSteelersTalk, and start making money the smart way.
Yeah. I mean, for the reasons that I said I would get Drew Lock, because he's proven that at least once or twice he's done it in this league, is the exact reason why I would look at Trey Lance and be like, I'm not taking that bet. Sorry, because I haven't seen you do it once or twice in this league, at least not at a high level. I haven't seen you win football games a couple of times in this league based on you. I mean, Drew Lock did that 3 weeks ago. And that's why I would put him lower on this list.
Yeah, very low on this list. Jacoby Brissett is a name that you never know. You never know. The Steelers were interested in Jacoby Brissett last season. Everybody was talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers going to get Jacoby. That would be their guy to compete with Pickett. He ends up in New England instead with an opportunity to be the starting quarterback. So obviously he wasn't going to come to Pittsburgh, but that's a name that for a couple of years we've been talking about with the Pittsburgh Steelers. From what I know, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers actually like Jacoby Brissett. They think he's not a terrible quarterback. Mm-hmm. And it would not shock me if Jacoby Brissett is in the locker room this year with a opportunity to compete for a starting job.
I mean, he is your bridge quarterback's favorite bridge quarterback. The guy did it in New England for Drake May. He did it in Washington for Sam Howell. Understandably, it didn't go as well there, but he was Washington's bridge quarterback last season. So honestly, I don't hate it. I really don't. This is a guy that if you bring in to be your number 2 and potentially need him to start, he has that wealth of experience. He's a guy that if you want to have somebody behind a younger quarterback, say if you still think that you need somebody who's a veteran behind a Justin Fields, you could do a lot worse than bringing Jacoby Brissett into that quarterback room to let him continue to impart wisdom on Justin Fields or on whoever you end up having as your younger starting quarterback. So if you have a younger one, Jacoby Brissett is your number 2 is not a bad place to be.
No, what about as a number 1 though?
As a number 1, again, if you're stuck in this offseason where there are not a lot of options and say Justin decides, oh, I'm going to go with Arthur Smith to New York, and Russell says, well, I don't really want to come back anyway, and you're looking and saying, okay, we can either go with a rookie quarterback or we could go with Jacoby Brissett. I think you start with Jacoby Brissett, especially in a year where most of these rookie quarterbacks are not going to be day 1 starters.
I got a couple more names for you here. Marcus Mariota, if he continues to play. I'm not a big Marcus guy either, but I think he's a reliable backup. I do think he steps in from time and does what needs to be done. Again, like I could see him coming in as competition. The Steelers that's the thing. Like if you re-sign Justin, chances are you're bringing in competition. If you re-sign Russ, you're not bringing in competition. But if you re-sign Justin, chances are you're bringing in competition to be a pole position. Like Justin will be pole position starter, but you're going to bring in competition. Marcus Mariota isn't a bad name, I would say. He's better than like Tyler Heineke. He's better than Andy Dalton. I think, to be honest with you, I think he's better than Jacoby Brissett as a backup option that just go out there and like, worst case scenario, you just go run the football, man. just go.
I mean, I think his running years are well past him, but he does
I don't know about that.
He has it in the bag more than Jacoby Brissett does. But I still think I would lean towards Brissett if you're picking between the two of them.
All right. What about Jarrett Stidham?
No.
Jarrett Stidham was pissed, man. He's like, I'm a starting quarterback in the NFL, dude. I'm a starting quarterback. By the end of the season, I won't lie to you. The picture, the Christmas card of all the Denver Broncos quarterbacks hanging out with their girlfriends and wives in matching pajamas. It did something, man. Like, it got me going. I don't like you guys. I just don't like this Christmas card at all. It bothers me a little bit. Jarrett Stidham, answer or no?
No, he's not an answer. He's not. Stidham, great nickname, bad quarterback. Not going after him.
All right. I got 3 more for you here.
Okay.
Maybe 4.
Jesus.
We'll tie the last 2 together here. Jameis Winston. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say, if of all the names that we went through, the one guy that you could say maybe he's still a starting quarterback is Jameis Winston. Maybe he's nowhere near a starting quarterback, but I'm not going off of a terrible year in Cleveland to say this guy ain't it. He didn't look terrible in New Orleans for a while. You're going to have to deal with 75 interceptions, but he's also going to throw for a boatload of yards no matter who your wide receivers are.
If there is any quarterback in the history of the league that would make Mike Tomlin drink on the sideline of an NFL game, it is Jameis Winston.
Yes.
The ball security would send Mike Tomlin through a loop. And now multiple things can be true at the same time. Jameis Winston beat 2 playoff teams this year.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston beat the Baltimore Ravens and he beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Jameis Winston was also benched for Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Bailey Zappi at the end of the year. So again, does he have the ability to go out there and maybe win you a football game? Yeah. Does he have the ability to be probably the best interview, again, that we have seen in multiple years across the NFL? Yes. But is he also one of the biggest threats to turn the ball over at any given moment? And likely that turnover is going the other way for 6. Also, yes, which to me, great guy, hilarious personality, not a quarterback that I think Mike Tomlin would ever look at and say, you know what? I think I'm going to trust him to be my reliable backup. I just don't see that. I don't see that coming down the pike anytime soon.
He is literally the exact opposite of what the Pittsburgh Steelers preach to their philosophy for their quarterback. It is literally the exact opposite. All right. I got 3 more. I'll group them into 2 here. Mac Jones.
Like, I'd like to give some long philosophical answer on Mac Jones, but just the 2 letters, one thought, one phrase, one belief. No.
And then I'll finish off with these 2. Carson Wentz and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Wow. I mean, the fact that both of these 2 guys were not only starting quarterbacks at one point, but starting quarterbacks that were believed to be franchise-altering quarterbacks.
Yes,
at one point. I mean, I can't say much. Both of them have gone to a Super Bowl. One of them,
I was going to say, both of them have gone to a Super Bowl.
And one of them has a ring. So, yeah. I mean, interesting, but at the same time, I don't know if I would trust either of them to go into a game for me. I
would say Carson Wentz would be a much better fit in Pittsburgh than Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy's too good looking to be in Pittsburgh, to be quite honest with you.
Can't handle the snow.
Yeah, there's no chance this guy shows up and he's like, this is what we do here. We just shovel sidewalks. It's like, yeah, dude.
Jimmy, why are you late to practice? They haven't come and plowed my road yet. They're not going to. Get to practice.
Yeah. We don't have snow plows in Pittsburgh. Get here now. It's just, I just don't think it would work well.
Although he did play in New England, but yes.
Nah, New England's like New England is like the high class franchise of the dirty franchises. You know what I mean? We are blue collar, my friend. We shovel the snow ourselves. I thought about going out to my actual street yesterday and shoveling the street so that people can get home from work. That's how bad it is. Still no snow plows. It looks like it snowed 10 minutes ago in my front yard. No. Yeah. Jimmy ain't coming here. Carson Wentz, I could see it happening. You know, I could see just like let's get a veteran who's done this, who accepts his role, who likes it, work with a guy like Justin Fields, maybe. I could see it happening. Mason Rudolph finishes this list, and it's a no. Teddy Bridgewater, man, I'm telling you. Watch the name Teddy Bridgewater this offseason. There's no reason behind it. I haven't been told a damn thing. It's just a hunch. It's just a hunch.